10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is January 5th, and I'm sorry for missing yesterday's episode. There wasn't much content in the morning, and then once there was more stuff happening in the afternoon, I didn't have time to record, so yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, let's get started with the episode today, and we're going to start with this sale for $1 million worth of RPL that came in yesterday, and this was yesterday afternoon around nearly 2 p.m. Eastern time, and you can see that there was some ARB stuff going on and sandwiching, but the main sell right here was this $1 million sell, and people were just like, what is going on? Like, what just happened? It smacked the ratio down. And we started to get some more buys coming in, but it's just the way it worked out. And then we saw that, the pencils of liquidity, like, the super concentrated liquidity kind of saved us from going down more. And the price, you can see here, Alulilo showed that the price went down, like $1.50 basically in a matter of seconds, like in one sale. So here Invis says that looks like an RV liquidation. Alulu says it's something to do with RV. Here then Invis said that it looks like a repayment. So we weren't really sure what was going on. And then it turned out over here, Non-Fungible Yoakum says he said they borrowed Rapti off their RPL collateral. That doesn't make sense. RPL can't be a collateral in RV. And then as they dug around a little bit more, here Invis found out that basically what they used was they deposited USDT Tether into Aave to borrow ETH, and then they used the ETH to borrow RPL, and then they shorted RPL. So what happened there was they opened a huge short on RPL. So this was yesterday afternoon, and people were just like, okay, what can we do about maybe causing some kind of short squeeze on that person? But the collateral that they used was around 40%. So, the ratio would have to double basically for them to get short squeezed, which is very unlikely to happen. If it was like 10, 20, maybe even 20, 30%, like you could potentially cause some kind of market action to happen like that if people knew there was a short squeeze to happen. But it was too much, so there wasn't really too much talk of. I said, can you imagine if they get short squeezed? But there wasn't. Here, Non-Fungible Income says that on 40% collateral, we'd have to double one way or half, basically, double one way or another before they're close to liquidation. So either the ETH price would have to go up by double, or the RPL price would have to go up by double. And yeah, that was that short that happened. However, a few hours later, the same person bought back with $1 million. So again, here there was some arbitrage stuff going on, and there was some sandwich buying and selling, and the person bought back in. So no one really knew what was going on with that person buying and selling, first shorting and then kind of repaying back their position. But then that gave us a bit of back on the pump on the ratio again, and kind of put us back to where we were. And one funny thing that happened during this whole process, Patches saw that there was something that happened during the 1 million buy block, and it was basically the same block where right here the smoothing pool got 2 ETH into the smoothing pool. So that same block, the person got MEV. There was like their price adjustments were happening. So people wanted to ARB that, and they were paying MEV to ARB this $1 million buy. And what's really funny though is like the liquidity is actually really good right now, in that the price only moved like a couple of percent for $1 million buy or a sell, and that's actually really impressive. So yeah, this person here, Patches was laughing at them, saying that not only did they incur slippage and getting sandwiched, but also gave a couple of ETH to the smoothing pool. So that worked out quite nicely in that situation. So yeah. So we've got another update from Patches, which was really exciting for him because he got an email here from Fornax. This is through GitHub, and saying that branch 424 was merged into the master. Now this was to add Treegen version 8 onto the official ODAO software to generate the trees on rewards day. So Patches here was, his work has been added to the smart node stack, and Fornax merged it. So it looks like, the testing that the team was doing for this has all gone well, and it looked like it was all good. So the next rewards period will be using Treegen 8, which was the first of 6 that we need to do to implement RPIP 30 totally, but this month will be the first month 1 of 6 for RPIP 30 implementation, which is absolutely wonderful to see. So I know there was a whole lot of hard work that went into this, of course, not just getting the vote passed, but just for the tree generation itself. So I think Patches was really happy about that, and then he said, now I can build a GMC. So Patches will go to the GMC and ask for some money for some of the work that he did with that, and I can't really say what the GMC will do because I'm a member of the GMC, but I think the GMC likes Patches, so hopefully it'll all be good. Okay, next we had this update from Mage Style. This was actually in the Gravita protocol. He says, we recommend that everyone removes any open positions from Gamma. Some dexes with GRI liquidity are integrated with Gamma and potentially affected by an exploit. Our partner dexes are not affected directly. This exploit seems to be viable only with managed positions through Gamma. So this was news from yesterday morning, and it was one of the few news stories that I had lined up before, realizing I wasn't going to be able to record an episode yesterday. But there was some discussion about this happening in the Rocket Pool Discord here. Ramana said, is anyone here on Gamma? IMC saying, are we exposed? So the IMC is the Incentive Management Committee for Rocket Pool, but for the PDAO, and they, their job is to make sure that our ETH has liquidity on the secondary markets. And one of the strategies they use is Gamma to have concentrated liquidity on Uniswap through Gamma. So here Ishka says the our ETH pool doesn't seem to be affected as far as I can see. Deposits have been frozen. It hit stables and wrapped ST ETH on Arbitrum. So there wasn't any need to worry about impact for our ETH, but for a moment there was some worry about whether or not it was going to impact our ETH or not. But it all seemed like it was okay. So I'm not sure where Gamma stands now, but I'm hopefully they've gotten everything fixed. Okay, next we have a couple of software updates that are available for your clients and on your node. And the first one here is Nimbus. So Nimbus say the first release of 2024 is out. Nimbus 24.1.0 is a low urgency upgrade, bringing full support for the upcoming Cancun Deneb hard fork on the Gurley testnet. So that's going to be forking on January 14th. It says it also introduces the ETH version 3 validator block slot beacon API endpoint that greatly simplifies the implementation of profit optimizing validator clients. So then there's a link on GitHub where you can go and do that. So it looks like Nimbus is one of the updates. We also have another update here from Nethermind. It says builders and testers, another Nethermind client release candidate is available for download. Jump in and test away. We're hanging out in Discord and welcome questions and feedback. And then there's got some things that they're excited about. So here they've got stuff for Gurley Denkun and optimism and faster block processing time and a whole bunch of other things as well. So this is release candidate version 1.25.0. So if you want to update it to it, hopefully it'll be available as the main version in the next couple of days. Okay, next we had some news here from Acebook, and this is talking about Binance adding support for RPL perpetual futures soon. It says Spot is the OG decentralized ETH staking pool protocol with a sniff at taking out Lido. So they're just kind of talking about how there's this idea that RPL will be added to virtual futures and Binance, which might give it a big boost in terms of its volume and potentially have an impact on its price. I'll be honest, I don't really know too much about how perpetual futures works. All I know is that be careful with risky DeFi strategies, or I guess here centralized exchange strategies. But the more products that we have with RPL, the more respectable it is, the better it is. So that's something to keep an eye out on. I don't know how valid a source ACE is. I don't really know much about them, but if you are interested, then that might be something to keep an eye out on. Okay, let's go back to the Discord here, and here we've got a few piece of topics about the exit validated queue exit part of it. So here, Madmat says prepare for pain, and it says exit queue validators are 16,959, and this will be cleared in 5 days and 16 hours with 13 per epoch. So here Halulno says, "Oh, Celsius is such a pain in the behind," and what happened is basically Celsius was a centralized lending borrowing platform that went bust. They had hundreds of thousands of ETH under management, and a whole bunch of that was staked, and now they are unstaking that ETH to give back to the people, like their creditors basically. They've been selling a whole lot of ETH in the last few weeks, and there was a big worry that this ETH here would be sold also, but it looks like this ETH will actually be returned as ETH to the creditors, so it's something to keep an eye out on. And here, news from Walter Bloomberg on Twitter saying Celsius will unstake existing ETH holdings, and people were kind of worried that that 16,000 validators will nuke the price. So people here were talking about whether or not they'll need to liquidate it or not, and what's going to happen with that. But that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And then you got the confirmation here from Beacon Chain, where you could see that some of the validator here was tagged as a Celsius validator that was being staked. Now, if you have a look at the exit queue, if you have a look at 7 days, this is a huge spike that happened on the exit queue, and it's the first time basically in since withdrawals went live that there's been a queue of this size. Pretty much once withdrawals were established and we got through that first bit, then this is the longest exit queue that we've had. But thankfully it doesn't look like anyone else is running for the exits just yet, and maybe there'll be a tiny uptick in the staking APR, but it doesn't look like there's even that. So active validators are still kind of flat to trending upwards overall, but as a much slower up rate than it was before. But staking on Ethereum is strong. We're at 900,000 validators, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get up to 1 million validators at some point in the next couple of months. But this was definitely something to look out for. And then there was a discussion that came up here. Oh wait, sorry. Give me a moment. I thought I had it. Yes, it's right here. Okay. So here we have this post from Ryan Beckermans talking about the exit queue and what that means. And it says, a while ago I raised the issue of dangerous interaction between LST depeg and the staking exit queue congestion. So this was basically because Celsius kind of unstaked 16,000 validators. There's this idea that it was, there's going to, in the future, if there's a bull market, there'll be a whole lot of people trying to exit, to try to sell. And what will happen with that is that LST tokens will depeg to the downside, and it could potentially be the case that they get hit quite hard in terms of people wanting to get out of their positions, but there not being enough ETH being unstaked from the Beacon chain quickly enough to kind of cover those sales. So let's read out what Ryan Beckerman says. He says, a while ago, I raised the issue of dangerous interaction between LST depeg and staking execute congestion. With the execute ballooning from the Celsius unstake this week, they aren't selling. I want to elaborate on how we might respond to this threat as a community, as well as my personal cycle plan for this issue. This is prediction there'll be a cataclysmic LST depeg and month-long plus execute this cycle. An unlucky few will sell LSTs far below peg during the worst liquidation wicks. We'll see 20% plus below peg peak or bottom for a major LST. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Lido, but of course, I can't say that with any aspersions. He says there will be a non-trivial bad debt that results in lenders being unable to withdraw and sell ETH near the cycle top. These lenders might then see significant socialized lending losses. What's worse is not being able to sell the top when you want to, losing a big chunk of your ETH too. Maybe many will wish to sell the top, but realize too late that unstaking isn't a free action. When it finally triggers, the stampede for the execute will be spectacular. Things I would like to see happen to mitigate this issue. Major LST should incentivize DEX liquidity to reduce aggregate leverage staking exposure and improve liquidity. In the base layer, execute length can be surfaced to apps, unsure if it's part of EIP 4788. So devs may build new LSTs that automatically respond to congestion conditions. Hedge funds and MEV searchers should investigate an at-scale depeg play to be prepared to buy up at least hundreds of millions of LSTs at a discount while maintaining delta neutrality. Early on in the cycle, ETH holders should unstake, unlend, and hold only spot ETH in their wallet. This helps sell the top while providing the public benefit of reducing execute congestion via early exits. This is my plan. I'm 100% staked today and will exit very early. Our goal as a community should be for the execute to run 24/7, never being empty from today until the top. We are still in the pre-bull. This actual bull is going to be glorious and exuberant. Many of you are on the track to make life-changing money. Don't screw it up by getting locked up in the execute, by having your leverage staking position liquidated, or by lending bad debt to leverage stakers. Now, this is a point that I've been making. I've made a few times on the Discord, where I said that I'll be unstaking everything except one validator in around 3 to 6 months time, depending on what I'm feeling from the market. And the reason for that is because like Ryan here, I will try to sell into some kind of mania phase in this bull market cycle. And I don't expect to catch the top, but I'm hoping to be at least liquid in a position where if the timing comes where I think we're in the mania phase, then I'll be able to sell without needing to worry about how long it'll take me to get through the exit queue on the beacon chain and through my staking, unwinding my staking. So I'm sure other people will see this and try to get into position as well. And I think it's really smart that people are starting to think about this, because the more people that take action preemptively, the more we'll be able to prevent catastrophic action on the beacon chain, basically, or with LSTs. And this point here is actually a point that I've talked to a couple of friends about, and people have shared this opinion with me as well, that we'll see a major LST suffering huge depeg below. Of course, Lido in summer 2021 lost about 10%. It went 10% below peg. Our ETH went about 3%, I think, below peg at one point, but quickly recovered. It took a Lido a long time to recover back to peg. In fact, it didn't do it until I think until withdrawals, until the merge. It took a while for it to happen. What I'm trying to say here is that if you are thinking about selling at some point in next year or 18 months, it makes sense to take preemptive action and getting into position for selling. Of course, none of this is financial advice, and I'm not telling you to short Lido's STETH or anything like that based on a perceived depeg to the downside. Although if you did use Aave's folding, you could probably use that to short Lido and do quite well with that, I think. Okay, finally, we're going to end with this website that was made called by Tony called Ethereum Timing Dashboard. So a few weeks ago, we talked about how one Lido node operator called P2P.org was starting to play something called timing games in block production, where it turns out that others are starting to follow suit as well. So here you can see the chart. Actually, let me change the screen. You can see the chart on the right that shows when in the block they're producing their block, and it seems like before the beginning of November they were doing it very early, but then after November they've been like waiting longer and longer, and it seems like Coinbase is also getting in on the action now, where before December, the beginning of December, they were kind of uniformly distributed, but after that it's been concentrated towards later in the block production period, and to try to get as much MEV as they can. Now if you compare that to Rocket Pool, you'll see that that's not changed at all. So it seems there's no significant Rocket Pool node operators who are trying to play timing games with their validators, and the percentage of missed attestations. Actually, let me just move this so you can see it on the left side. You can see the chart. The missed block proposals have kind of been pretty much uniform. Whereas with someone like Coinbase now, who are starting to play the timing games, you can see that before they missed very few proposals, but now they're missing a much bigger chunk of proposals because they started to play the timing games. So I guess they're working out what they're gaining by playing the timing games compared to missing slots. And if they're making more by playing the games, then they're going to carry on doing that, and the result will be degraded Ethereum beacon chain, because blocks won't be produced at 12 seconds. You will be missing more and more blocks in each epoch, and that will lead to a worse user experience. And of course, rewards that would be going to the next block, you'll be earning them for yourself. So people like Rocket Pool stakers, or potentially like solo stakers, or other people who can't really afford to play those games, they're the ones who are going to be getting punished. So yeah, it seems like more and more people are going to be doing this now, especially those who have the infrastructure to be able to do it. So on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. I hope you all have a lovely weekend ahead, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.